Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Are you ready?
It's live.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?
Well, greetings and welcome back to Live Talk. I am your host, Arthur Jeremiah, alongside my two co-hosts, Minister Samuel.
Welcome back to Live Talk.
And the spiritual ambassador, Yike Ezekiel.
Peace. Good afternoon.
All right, before we go to anything, let's go to our general statement and disclaimer.
General statement. Live Talk is proudly powered by TBS Goodwill, Builders of the Highway Foundation, and Men of Purpose. Together, we're bringing about awareness to the everyday challenges facing individuals, communities, and our nation. We tell our stories, listen to yours, and always respect different perspectives. Want to share your voice? Email us at livetalkorl@gmail.com to be a guest, or if you would like to contribute to our mission, purpose, go to livetalkorl.com to give a donation. Disclaimer. Information provided during this event and others to come does not constitute the official opinion of Live Talk or its affiliate entities. It is strongly recommended that viewers seek independent expert advice regarding any topics discussed, as legal requirements differ significantly across jurisdictions and are subject to frequent changes. If you have questions or concerns, you can always email us at livetalkorl@gmail.com, or you can DM us on Facebook and or Instagram at Live Talk Orlando.
All right. Welcome back. And my brothers, how are you doing, Minister?
I'm doing wonderful. We're looking forward here to a new year, since we're at the beginning, the top of the year. So this is a great time to start everything off.
Yes, sir. And my brother, Yike Ezekiel.
I'm doing terrific. Just down here in this cold state of Georgia.
Oh, man. And I'm doing good myself. I'm getting ready. Y'all know it's a new season, so, people got to pay their taxes. So we're getting into that tax season, and they have new laws that have been implemented, so new interpretations of those laws. So, yes, I'm gonna have fun with all that. All right, so family, I hope you're feeling this as well as we are. We're just gonna give you a rundown of the show today. First, we'll have the minister word of today, a quote. And right after that, we'll go to a commercial break, and then we'll come back with our main topic. Our main topic today is breaking the cycle, what the Black community is leaving behind in 2025. And then we'll go to another commercial break, and we'll come back with some community news. We'll see what's on our brother Yike Ezekiel's mind. And then we'll conclude the show with a motivational quote or reading from the host. So with no further ado, Minister, what is the word of today?
All right. Our word of the day is going to be renew. Renew. And it means, or it is defined as, to bring back to an original condition of freshness and vigor or perfection. Renew is to restore to a former state, to make new or as if new again, to make vibrant or strong again. Renew is to make new spiritually, to begin again, to put in a fresh supply of something. And some synonyms for renew are mend, reinstate, regenerate, rejuvenate, revive, rebuild, and replace. And one of my favorite Bible verses relating to this is found in Ephesians 4:23, especially with this the beginning of a new year. It says to be renewed in the spirit of your mind, It's the time to take all the old and put it aside, bring in the new.
Wow.
So we're going to renew.
I love that because that's where renewal takes place at, in the mind. And we're going to talk about that today. So thank you, my brother, for that word of today. We're going to go to a commercial break and we'll be right back with our main topic.
Welcome back to Apopka, where the biggest problem is still why all the farmland turning into commercial real estate. Some of y'all be really pissed about these damn tourists from Orlando.
Of course I'm back at Rock Springs. I was just wondering why all the locals say the water's too hot, the rocks will cut your feet, and it's too dangerous. It seems beautiful to me.
This is Journey Christian Church, growing just as fast as the town. Just don't get lost in the 600 people or you'll have to pray your way out. We're at Harmon on the Lake and these apartments are so bougie. You cannot claim to have small town feel when it's all rich people that love to tell you they from New York.
I'd normally go to Halls on 5th, but got recommended Propagate Coffee with a side of Let's Talk Drama with all the town moms. Time to put the fake friend mask on.
Had to go back in time for this one. Remember when you got dragged here with your mom for the 6th time of the month? Little did you know you would miss this place. And now tax season right around the corner reminding us we grown up. Let's be honest, none of us ever know if we did it right. That's why I go to Scott & Associates accounting firm right here in Apopka.
Scott & Associates been doing taxes for 19 years, which means they're one of the only firms that explains it in English, not that IRS fear language.
They give every client $1 million audit defense. IRS pulls up, these guys pull up harder. They're the only way to go this season. Make the phone call. And remember, y'all, when it comes to taxes, you can always count on Scott.
Because Scott & Associates always treats me like family, I refer my family to them. So when preparing for my taxes and I know exactly what to bring in coming in, it makes the process so much easier. Anyone should hire Scott & Associates because they are professional, respectful, and very knowledgeable. And with all of my heart, I can always count on them.
All right, so welcome back. Like what was mentioned before, we're going to go deep into our main topic today, which is breaking the cycle, what the Black community is leaving behind. And before we go into that, I just want to make sure that we're checking. If you're online and you're viewing in, just make sure, let us know if you have audio, if we having any type of technical difficulties. That'll be very helpful. Just put it in the comments so we can make any adjustments that we need to make on this end. All right, and then did we check everything good on that? Okay, all right, wonderful. All right, so new year, new energy. But before we move forward, we got to talk about what we're not bringing with us. So today we're talking about the cycles we're breaking as individuals and as a community. And the first thing that we want to do, we're just give you a rundown of what we're going to be talking about. You know, we often hear people say, "New year, new me." What does that really mean to you? I would like for us to talk about true change, not just renaming habits, and then we'll get a little bit into and letting go of the old habits to start something new. But before we even go there, we're going to get a little personal. We're going to talk about, what we're bringing into the new year, or into this year, I would say. And brothers, before I go into that and just kind of open up the flow, I received a text yesterday from a family member, and the text, I misunderstood the text, and the way I responded to the text was very vague. But I know I used two words. I used growth and I used purpose in my response. However, it was still vague in how I responded because the question was, and put your mic on, sir, so you can repeat that question that I sent you. And I want that same question to go to the audience as well. then I'm gonna talk a little bit about. You have it.
Mm-hmm.
Is your mic on?
What's something you're excited about for this year?
That's what it's. Okay. So the question is, what is something that you're excited about going into this year? And I'm gonna start this off because one of the cycles I'm intentionally looking to break this year is overthinking. And I don't know how many people deal with this here, but it's a huge challenge, and I didn't know it was a challenge until I came into the knowledge of, some of the things that I deal with when it comes to making decisions. I'm like, am I overthinking? And it didn't take a new year for me to make that change once I became conscious of me, doing this. And so I was in Target, some store, Target maybe, and I seen a book, talking about the art of overthinking, something similar to that there. I said, I'm gonna grab this book because I feel like, the knowledge of the Most High is in everything, around us. We just have to be able to extract it up out of there. And He talks to us in many different things. So I grabbed this book, and it was something that I began to take on that journey of alleviating myself from overthinking and doing some of the things I have done in the past. Now I'm still on that journey, and that's one of the things that I'm seeking to do going into this year is to scale back on, being afraid of, taking a leap of faith in certain things, listening to all the noise before you listen to yourself. And that's something that I'm learning right now. And that's something I'm going to take with me going into this year. Now, I didn't realize that it was a cycle until I learned that fear causes us to stay in our comfort zone. Mm-hmm. And see, if you're afraid of something, if you're looking to do something and fear jumps in the way of it, then that means you're not living to your full potential. In my opinion, it's like you're not listening to yourself. Mm-hmm. It's almost like you're trying to impress everybody else but you. So it's those type of moments that we have to challenge in order for us to live our true self. So overthinking causes you to scale back a little bit. It causes you to try to stay in your comfort zone, to not release yourself in moments that you should be able to release yourself. And I share this as well. When it came to protecting like that habit of just trying to stay into our comfort zone, I later found out that one of the things that it was costing me, it was holding me back from opportunities. So now I'm at that point in my life that I have to listen to myself. And until I can, I guess say things better, I just have to say it. And it's all about learning yourself and learning life, because we oftentimes are always looking for approval from everybody else and not listening to ourselves. So that's one of the things I want to take into this year. However, it's something I have already been working on. It ain't taking no new year for a new calendar year for me to make that change. I understood that I needed to make a change based off of, old habits that I have learned, and I don't want to take those old habits into the new year. But the other question is, what am I excited about going into this year? So, brothers, I know I'm talking a lot, and I'm gonna ask you, brothers, I want you to share the same thing. But and then ask me questions about, what I just said. Do you brothers have any questions about what I just said? Based on what I just shared.
Well, if you're excited about it, so I don't know if that's something you're excited about or leaving behind, if that's the same thing.
I'm leaving it behind. I'm gonna tell you what I'm excited about, though. And see, when I told you about those two words, growth and purpose, see, that's a part of my purpose. But when it comes to growth, I'm excited about growth. I'm excited about individual growth, and I'm excited about growth when it comes to business. So I am excited about that. And maybe that's a little vague in a way, but there are certain things like even this podcast that we're on right now. I'm excited about the growth of it. I'm looking at this year as a goal that we reach 1,000 subscribers or better. And I'm excited about it because of the information that we're putting out there. And I really, truly believe that people are going to engage with the information that we're putting out there. Because I think it's very potent information that we're putting out there. And I think it can help, not only our community, but change people's lives. So I'm excited about that. I'm pretty sure I'm excited about a lot of things. We both got a grandson, and I'm excited to see him grow up and run. I ain't too excited to see him running around touching everything and breaking stuff, but it's coming though. But that's me, brothers. Like, if you have any questions about what I just shared, is there any comments coming in? Please bring your comments in. That's my personal side of, what I look for this year and some of the things I'm looking to change and edify myself with. And if your brothers have any questions towards me based off what I said, please do share. If not,
well, no. When you say when you say that, I can ask them. When you say about overthinking it, is it like easy? Is it been difficult? I know you say it's a process, or it's a journey that you're on. So to not overthink it, like what have you been thinking about to not overthink?
I've been doing a lot of meditation. I'm trying to meditate a lot more than I used to. And then I'm using certain steps when it comes to making decisions that because I think it's All right. So we was just talking about what I'm looking to change as I go into this year, and then some of the things that I'm excited about, and then just one of the habits, the old habits that I want to remove and get rid of, which was that overthinking. And now, asking you, brothers, did you have any questions for me based off of the information I shared? Just to go a little bit more deeper into, my reasoning behind it, why I felt like, that was something that I needed to do. But if we don't, I would like to know, something that one of you brothers are trying to bring into the new year, and then what you're excited about.
Well, for myself, one of the things that I want to leave behind is isolation. Nobody grows on our earth successful in this life without having a team. And so far, I've been trying to accomplish most of my purposes in life without networking. And so it's moving me at a slower pace than if I had a team that can take over areas. It's like being a leader. Some jobs you have to delegate in order to keep the organization moving at a smooth pace. The CEO can't be the mailroom man. He can't be the manager. He can't be all these positions. So he has to have a team. You have to have an organization. So that's one of the things I want to try to overcome, being more sociable. So that means getting out, meeting new people, so that I can set a path to begin to be able to network with people. Because what I'm looking forward to is creating a business, getting my ministry where I need it to be. And I know I'm going to need help with that right there, because there are certain doors I can't open on my own. So I'm going to need people who can walk me through those doors which means beginning to reach out to people and being more sociable. So those are the things that I'm definitely, one, leaving it behind is being isolated, and two, looking forward to embracing people and becoming more sociable.
Like, if I had to ask you a question, where do you think that came from? Like, just being isolated, like isolating yourself.
Oh, that came strictly from the last 3 decades of being in captivity. You get used to depending on yourself. You have no outside help, to where you feel it's deemable. You have the mindset that if it need to be done, I have to do it myself. And so I brought that mindset to society with me. And because in my immediate atmosphere, I didn't know anybody, I had to accomplish these things on my own. So that just fueled the isolation. But now I'm hitting stumbling blocks and hindrances that if I don't get the social help that I need, I can't fulfill my purpose in life. Because, I've been given the opportunity to store vast amounts of information that can help alter the direction of people's lives. And if I don't get that information out, then I'm not living what I was created for. And that's why I know now that I have to hit this stage in my life to where I can be able to network.
Okay. So, like, to your point, you're saying 3 decades, like, even when you was inside, did you feel isolated or was
yes.
a little bit more social?
No doubt. Because once I started learning and coming to the knowledge of self, it put you on a different path than everybody else was on. The things, the activities that they engaged in, that was not in accord with your moral barometer. So it separated you. You didn't have to leave people. People would begin to leave you because you ain't on the same thing that they're engaging in. It's like if you and a person friends and y'all became friends because y'all was drinking together or smoking together or bowling together, and then one of y'all quit that particular activity, it's like the glue that was keeping y'all together is no longer there. So y'all begin to go in opposite directions. And so now you try to grab and become friends with like-minded people. And in that atmosphere, it was very hard to find because most people's mindset was diametrically opposed to mine. So you became isolated and, again, dependent upon yourself. And every now and then you will run across a few like-minded people, but that particular system, you may not be at that institution long enough, to really connect that bond, because those places at any given moment, you could be relocated. So.
No, I mean, go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
Yeah, even in there, you learn how to be isolated, and then at times you decide not to even become social because you're like, what's the purpose of it? Because they may be or I may be gone tomorrow. So why waste the time and energy getting to know some person, and then you wake up and they're gone and you don't never see them in life again?
No, that's true. I mean, even being out here, a lot of times we're trying to find like-minded individuals. And to your point, because you're talking about, I need to connect because I'm trying to start business. So now we have to get into that arena or that circle where that's something that can fulfill us. Because even from an individual standpoint, I can see out here where sometimes I may have those same challenges, like you said, like having like-minded people. Sometimes you get into a crowd of individuals, or you come to an event, etc. I remember, and I'm gonna share this here, and then Minister, I'll let you go. But I remember just being a part of the paralegal association, right? And we used to have events, But when we go to the events, all they doing is drinking and stuff, you know. And it's like I didn't really come here to drink. I mean, I understand like drinking is a part of networking because it loosens people up, but I'm not a drinker. So it's like it's a little challenging, you know, to be amongst people and trying to connect with them, and then they're not, you know, they're intoxicated where you're trying to have a more, you know, sober conversation with them, you know. So I can see that, you know, I can see that, and I think that's a challenge for a lot of us. Minister, you think?
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask him because I heard him when he was talking about being social. That and I know you talking about doing it, and if you've already started it, I was wondering for you, what do you see as being easy about that? What do you see for you as being difficult if you've already encountered it, or where are you at with it, or what do you think?
No, I definitely haven't encountered it, and I think, you know, what'd be easy is because I'm an affable person, and I know how to express myself and to be genuine, to be able to create a friendship with people. What'd be hard is knowing where to go to be able to start meeting people of a like mind. Like you said, you know, you was a paralegal, therefore they already had an association. So once you started doing that, you could join that. Okay, I don't have like a ready-made organization to step off into. So the hardest part is finding the arena to be able to be where the people that's on what I want to be on are at, so that I'll be able to, you know, learn from them, get insight from them. So that's the most difficult aspect of it now, especially where I live at, you know. So that's what I'm trying to figure out right now. That's the first step that I'm making right now in order to be able to make my goals come to reality. I got to be able to find the people that's on what I'm on.
Okay.
Well, I'll definitely say great minds apparently think alike, because I know you were talking about listening to yourself rather than being concerned about others. Like Ezekiel mentioned, delegating, something for me that I've started, definitely going to be moving more toward is like removing things from my plate. That's both, you know, it's a physical thing, but it's also a mental, like eating, for example, something that I've definitely, well, now I stop. You can be eating something, really like it. You can eat all of it because it tastes good. Sometimes then after you eat too much and it's uncomfortable, or the other part of that is being a glutton, because once I've learned from me now, I stop. If I need to eat something later, a couple hours later, rather than full, like by putting too much stuff on your plate. But I'm also doing that more in life and in business, where definitely delegating and not doing or attempting to do everything, delegate it to others, or if I can't do it, pass it off. Or if somebody else can do it, I'm going to pass it off. But I'm not going to attempt to do it all, because that actually wears you down and it limits your productivity when you try to do too many things. So from a physical standpoint, taking things off the plate, but also from a mental and a business standpoint, don't put too many things on your plate, because it actually will weigh you down, and you find out you go much farther when you can do what you do best, or if you do have other people around you, and you bring them in, it allows and you can go much farther. So definitely putting things down, not putting too much on my plate from a physical standpoint, as well as mental.
Now, question for you. Where you think that came from? Like taking on a lot of those tasks. Like how did that develop?
It gets into even stuff that we go talk about farther in the show. Like it's, that it's kind of habit forming to think, especially talk about this hustle culture. It's like you got to do it all, to be, got to be good in business, to be good at what you do. You got to give it 110% or 150%. Although when time goes on, I'm realizing that's not always best. You can achieve your goals. You can get things done without overdoing it. I've learned when your body is talking to you, you should listen to it.
Right.
And you can push, but it's like with that comes stress. So it's like, is it more successful to do something and be stressed, or is it more successful to get something done and be less stressed? Because when you look back 6 months or a year from now, it's done. But what effect did that have on me mentally and physically if I didn't consider how much of myself am I putting into this? Like working very, very, some people work really long hours. And if you're doing it, hey, I'm not going to knock it. But it's like when you do that, you're sacrificing other things, and maybe unconsciously, especially when it comes to your time, like if you're putting in 12, 16 hours a day, that can be beneficial on one side, but you're going to be missing it on another side, be it personal, be it social. And what's really important is rest, because you find out if you put too much into one area, something is going to be deficient.
That's true, because see, we think about, and it's just me, myself, when I'm thinking about the elements of just having, mind, body, mind, body, and soul. When we're talking about health, we're talking about having, spirituality, and we're talking about eating right, we forget sleep. Well, I'm gonna say I forget sleep.
Yes.
And we have to add that as a part of, that full circle, because you can exercise, you can eat right. And I think rest is tied into health, because your body has to rest at a certain time so it can rejuvenate itself. And I think, like, to your point, we neglect our bodies of that in moments and times, because I do it a lot. A question for you, like, did any guilt come from, like, I know, is this a process you're taking into this year? Or is this something you already started?
Started it, but I'm being really more specific about it this year.
Okay.
Really more specific about it. It's like in my business, I've been planning on doing more management. I'm a working owner, but it's like I'm really moving toward 100% management, overseeing it, because I can be more productive that way. But it takes changes. And to your point, like, thought about the plate, and I mentioned it. I had a very bad habit, but I'm working on this one, about not getting enough sleep. I only got X amount of sleep, like 4 to 6 hours, and I would say that as if that was a good thing. I'm finding out that is not a good thing.
Oh,
that's a horrible thing.
Well, educate me.
But I've been doing it for so long, you get into the habit of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it does catch you. Don't function at your best without proper rest. So if we get accustomed to saying, I'm gonna just get 4 hours or 5 hours and I'm good, you can function that way, but you actually lose. At least I'm finding you lose a certain amount of productivity, lose that peace, that calmness. It has to be holistic. One can't go without. Now, you can't be a slug and sleep for 12 hours a day, but it's like if you're working 16 hours a day, I'm using an example, and then you sleep in 4, you only got 4 more hours left in the day. And and let's just say now you got some social things to do, and that take up 6 hours. You down to 20 hours. So now you got 3 or 4 hours worth of rest. You can function with 3 or 4 hours worth of, but is that really the most proper use of your time to only be getting 3 or 4 hours of rest? We can do it. It works. I get some coffee, get up, and I'm gone. But I'm learning that that's not wise.
Ziggy, I know you can speak on that. How much sleep you get?
I'm amazed that he say that, but I guess that's his body. Me, 3 to 4 hours, and I'm fully charged. I learned the more I rest, the more lethargic that I be. And I think that's predicated from my studies on your diet. You know, what you eat gives you that energy. So rest is a weapon. Make no mistake about that right there. You need to be able to rest a certain period of time. But depending on the state of your body determines how much rest that you may need. Because for me, 3 to 4 hours, and I'm great. Anything over that, my body's like in a sluggish state for the first couple hours that I'm up. So it doesn't work for me.
But hey, I will say you got to listen to your body.
No, you got to listen to
like me, people say 8. I can't do 8 hours. 6 is normally, but I've gotten comfortable. But I could function. I used to function off 4, 5, 6 was a long time. 5, 7, 8, I can't. My back hurts. But what I have to get up. But what I'm realizing is that part of that, your body actually heals itself, rebuilds those cells, the stuff that we don't see while you rest. So if I will watch your body, because if you're only doing 3 hours, you got to make sure. And I do my best to eat well, but you got to know your body. But resting is important, and it's, at least for me, I found out that was something that I could sacrifice. And now I'm realizing that's just as important as the exercise. That's just as important as the meditation. That's just as important as the eating well. That's just as important as having the mind right, by incorporating the proper amount of rest. You got to know your body. But if you're not getting enough, your body will begin to talk to you.
Because even with myself, and just because I know you probably trying to chime in as well, but even with myself, I found myself, if I go to sleep early, I say early is 10 o'clock. If I go to sleep early, I'm going to get up about 2 o'clock. My body is just going to wake up around 2 o'clock. And then I'm stuck up for 2 or 3 hours. And then by the time I go back to sleep, it's almost time for me to get up for work. So I always try to trick my body, and I just kind of stay up to midnight, hoping that if I go to sleep, I can get me, a decent sleep. I mean, a decent rest. I have found where people, they sleep longer, but they use like certain things like melatonin to sleep a little longer. But it's almost like, I mean, not just speak for myself, my body, like it's not going to stay asleep 6 hours. Like, I mean, maybe it used to back in the day, but it just don't do it no more.
Now, I'm going to add this one, because what I found out, if I go to sleep at 10 o'clock, at 3 or 4 o'clock, I'm up, and I cannot go back. It's not going to happen. It'll be 6:30 or 7, then I'm going to start but then that's where meditation. But the thing is, because if you can rest. You don't have to be sleeping, but I'm saying proper rest. Even if you don't sleep for 3 hours, your body probably needs another 2 to 3 hours of rest.
Okay.
So it can heal, because I can't sleep that long.
Yeah.
I'll be up all night, but then it's okay to get up and meditate. I have to go to bed. Yeah, if I go to bed at 10 o'clock, I'll be up all night. I can't go to bed past 12. But in order for me to be up at 6, 12 is about the best. If I go at 10, it's over.
Right.
But I'm trying to train myself to get extra 15 minutes where I can get a solid 6 hours of rest. Because I'm like the 4 and 5. When I say 4 to 6, usually that means 4 or 5. 6 was on the weekend. And it just, for me, it's like I'm realizing 4 is just not enough rest time.
No, I mean, you just said a key point. You said rest, and I think, and when I was doing some study, resting your body is very important. You don't have to be asleep. So, yes, I think we do need to rest, because I'll be in front of my computer and I nod off for a minute. So, you had any?
Well, like y'all are saying, pay attention to your body, because it's the best teacher that you're going to have. It's going to give you signs of whether you need more or less rest. So that's the key to it. Everybody's lifestyle different, so your body going to demand, according to that particular lifestyle, the adequate amount of rest that it needs to function at optimal capacity. And that's what you want. You want to be functioning at 100%. So if it takes you 7, 8 hours, 4 or 5 hours, or 1 hour to do that, then that's what you need to be focused on. But you have to listen to your body and obey it. Don't just listen, obey it.
Oh, it'll bring you into submission.
Correct. That's when it begins to break down and you get sick and all of these type of things.
Right.
When you rebel against it, that's the body's way of telling you, hey, man, we need to get on point, because you ain't doing what you're supposed to do. Yes,
sir. Absolutely. But to be honest with ourselves, a lot of the cycles that we're carrying around, they pretty much was handed down to us. We picked up a lot of this from our past, from our community, our surroundings. So we're talking about personal things that we're looking to take into this year. And and I don't think you brothers shared with me what you're excited about, though. What you're excited about this year going into?
I'll let you he can take it first.
Well, like I said, one of the things I'm excited about is networking. One, and putting this information together to be able to open up some doors and give some light to some people that's in captivity. That's the main thing that I'm excited about. And that's it. That's the most exciting thing that I got going on.
Okay. You ain't excited about working with us? Hanging out with us?
That's a given. I mean, like mine. Like I said earlier, that's like mine. I'm definitely thankful and grateful for that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, I'm excited. Actually, I'm always trying to introspect, like looking internally. I'm always excited about growing. Growing as an individual, growing as a human being, being a better person. Like we talked about, being renewed in the spirit of your mind. We can read that stuff, but in reality, actually making it a part of you. So I'm excited about trying to be at one, like being at one with the universe, being at one with the Creator. It's a journey. Excited to be on the journey.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. All right. So, like I was saying before, I wanted to get that in because that was one of the questions I wanted to just come back and for us to be able to share on, because that was text out to me, and I just felt like it was a good question. Instead of, what's your New Year's resolution? Because I'm one of these type of people. At first when I seen the question, it didn't register to me as it came off. When I go back and kind of read the question, I took it as New Year's resolution, right? And then in my head, I'm like, I know y'all know Pinky and the Brain. My children called me and said, "What you doing today?" Same thing I'm doing every day, trying to take over the world. So it's like I have a path, I have a journey, and I'm a grow in that path in my journey. But it's a path, and then I'm gonna come into obstacles that I'm gonna have to cross. I'm gonna have to figure things out. But it's still a path and a journey that I am on, and I'm gonna figure it out as I go on the way. I'm gonna learn some things on the way. I'm gonna, be able to remove some things out of my path so I can see it a lot clearer. So when we're talking about just if one asks me what's my New Year's resolution, it's like I don't have a New Year's resolution. I have a commitment to my purpose, and that's what every year I go into. I mean, every day I go into. But that's coming back to when we talked a lot about ourselves and we shared a lot with our audience about us, and we're going to talk a little bit about the community. And one of the things that was handed down to us when we talked about, I think we talked about this here in our last show, like consumer debt, which is one of the cycles in the Black community that we don't talk about enough. So what are some cycles in our community that we don't talk about enough, like consumer debt or eating right, when you was talking about that? And I'm gonna put that out there because eating bad is one of the things, although we do talk about for a certain degree, we talk about it. But I believe because of our mindsets, and I think you saying renewing of the mind, like renewing that mind, like we have this old mindset that we continue to do things according to our bad habits. And regardless of, knowing that we should eat right, we continue to do the things, we continue to eat the same way that we've been eating. Now that's one of the cycles. Can you brothers think of another cycle? Do you want to just, pick it back off that one cycle?
I'm gonna jump onto that one because you talked about New Year's resolutions. Our people, we know everybody making this New Year's resolution. They want to lose some weight, and most they go on a diet. It says most people do it for they don't make it a month. It's, I don't know, is it 14 days or 3 weeks or whatever is the best they do. Because they're not being that renewed in your mind because if you got a bad diet, first of all, you need to understand how you eat. Because if you're eating improper, it's going to make it very difficult for you to lose weight. Unless you're going to be a serious gym head or take something artificial. But most of it, not all, but most of it comes from improper diet. And we have been taught to eat a certain way. And we eat that way and then we wonder, why is it difficult to lose weight? Or especially in our community, you got that high blood pressure, you got diabetes. I hear people all the time say, they want to say it's genetic, but they inherited it. When reason your mom, your dad, your uncles, and the reason they were overweight or the reason they had high blood pressure, the reason they had sugar is the diet that they eat. You want to eat the same way and you expect to make a change. And it just doesn't work that way. It's like you can't eat improper food and expect your body not do the exact same thing that it's doing. You can go to the gym and you can work out. You're going to really have to be committed to it. And even if you go to the gym and you start getting a trainer, they going to start talking to you. If you got a good trainer about your diet, they going to start talking about how much protein you're getting, how many carbs. See, our people don't want to hear about the fats and the sugars. Like I'm plant-based. I don't eat any meat. Some people, and I'm not telling you that you don't need to eat meat, but a lot of people eat bad meats. You need to even understand there's a science behind your blood type, and certain meats may not be good for you based on your blood type alone. Like this person might be fine for eating beef. This person might be fine for eating chicken. But it might not be good for either other. And if you're eating fatty foods, now we have a lot of processed food, and it's easy to get, but it's hard to lose.
No, and that's true, because one of the things too, and I go back a little bit, and I let you jump in here in a little bit, but I go back a little bit. We're talking about high cholesterol, and you just mentioned some processed foods. You know, we like processed foods are there, because of trying to preserve, certain foods. You have to add certain things to it that's preserve it. But even when it comes to vegan foods,
Yes.
I'm a I'm a plant based vegan, but I can go into the store trying to get something fast, but it's processed. I'm trying to scale back on a lot of the processed foods as well, because see, I'm on this journey too, so when I go back to the doctor and I'm saying, and I do my test, I shouldn't see no high cholesterol, because I'm starting to cut back on a lot of the processed foods as well. I'm starting to cook my brown rice and my lentils, and now I'm steaming my vegetables, and I may do a little stir frying, but I'm using olive oil, so I'm changing some of the things that I'm doing. And matter of fact, if you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Arthur Jeremiah. I'm sharing a lot of these tips on there, but juicing is one of the things that I really have implemented into my diet, that's trying to change and coming up with a different lifestyle, so that now when I go back and check my blood, everything that I'm doing and changing, my prayer is that it works for me. So now I can say, okay, well, this works for my lifestyle. And then now I can truly implement this in the way I live now. And I think, mentally it has to be something in it for us to make that change. And it seems like we're in the Black community, although life is a part of that, like sustaining your life, is like they don't see it. Like a lot of our people don't see that. No, ribs just taste too good.
There it is.
Well, I think culturally, we've been taught that anything we get past our lips is good to chew on, regardless of the physical health aspects of it. We don't look at how does this particular food affect my body. It's like when we go shopping, we look at the quality of clothes that we're getting, how often we'll wear this outfit, and is it in the budget? And that determines our fashion sense. But when it comes to our diet, the knowledge of gastronomy, which is the science of good eating, goes out the door. We lack the knowledge that it's a science. And with that lack of wisdom concerning what my body should ingest for it to work at its highest peak, when someone comes and tells me that, hey, eating this particular food or drinking this particular drink is harmful to me, I fall back on the hundreds of years of wisdom that I see from my foreparents. Well, my granny lived to be 90 years old and she was eating this or drinking this. My cousin was 100 years old. And my response has always been, that may be true. She was, but she would have been 580 years old if she wasn't eating it.
Uh-oh.
The thing is, what we lack in the community going into 2026 is the knowledge to see if any of the illnesses that's plaguing the community can be taken away by the alteration of our eating habits. Most of us would not like to live in a dirty, filthy house. Most of us clean our house on a regular basis because we don't want insects, we don't want mold or anything of that nature to build up that can create diseases and ultimately undermine our health. but we don't understand what the human body needs to clean it. We don't know how to go about cleaning our body on a regular basis past, I need to drink 7 to 8 glasses of water and I'll be good. And most people don't do that. You know, we've been infatuated with all these sports drinks, with, you know, everything that's full of sugar. That's what we love to drink. So, and I think that most people need to learn and be scrutinized more. Why am I putting this particular product in my body and how is it affecting my body? You have a screening process about every other aspect of life. When you go to buy cars, you look at, okay, it got to be this type of car, it got to do this, it got to do that. When you're looking at a mate, they got to have these type of qualities and attributes. You have a process that governs how you choose in every aspect of life except what you eat, which is the most important aspect of life, because food is the first addiction for humanity. And it's the one thing that you absolutely need to live. You need food and water. You need food and drink. So I think it would be foolish not to be able to understand what's the best foods for your body. Does this food affect me in a negative or a positive way? Will this food right here clog my body or will it cleanse my body? Because if my drain gets clogged up, I'll go buy me a product that clean out the drain. So when the body gets clogged up with mucus and all these other byproducts from the food that we eat, how do we clean it out? And that's the problem that we lack. We need not to solve the problem. We need to have a way to prevent the problem. And, you know, most black people are either church-going people or spiritual people. And the Bible itself gave you an awesome example of how to eat in accordance with the human body when Daniel was shown the difference between eating the way he was raised and what the culture of the city he was living in, Babylon, was eating when he was offered the diet of the Babylonians, but he declined it to stick to the diet that he was raised with from the Hebrews. And then even the Babylonians began to realize that his diet, which they said was made of pulse, and when you look up pulse in any dictionary, it tells you vegetables. It tells you fruits. And we know that those two foods have water in them. And we know that water is needed to clean everything on our planet, including the human body. So if anything, add more water to your plate. When you look at your plate, since the human body is 70 to 80% water, then the foods you need to be eating is 70 to 80% water every time you sit down to breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And that would alleviate a mass amount of the diseases that the black community are dying for. You don't have to have high blood pressure, low blood pressure, gout, diabetes, heart disease, cancer. All of these things can be cured almost overnight if you change and understand that before I ingest this food, let me see the ingredients in it and what it's going to do to my body. Is it going to help me or is it going to hurt me? Because you're not going to go out and buy a car that you know is a lemon and waste your money on that. You want to get the highest quality car and the highest quality in every life. The women don't go out there when they go to the hair stores and get that bad hair. They get that hair that they know that's going to look good in their head. Because they don't want to waste their money. So we have to take that under advisement when we're eating and drinking. Let's put the best products in our body so that our body will work at its maximum capacity.
No, that's that, like the information, like we're sharing, the information you just shared is great information Because when I think about it, do we believe that the community is lacking like the knowledge and resources to a lot of these things? Like when we talk about consumer debt, we talk about eating good, we talk about, debt itself, is a lack of knowledge a part of that or resources?
It's a lack of knowledge.
And what you said earlier, culturally, we've been taught to accept it as a norm.
Yeah.
So it's like that's become normal. So like what he was like with clothing. People will buy a certain shoe they want to wear a certain brand or I'm not gonna mix this brand with that brand or a particular they won't use a certain purse or bag unless it's got this name on it. But when it comes to food, they're not that discerning. You'll put anything, you won't put anything on your body, but you'll put anything in your body. Because we've been taught, and part of that is we can be spiritual people, but the fallacy is we've been taught to pray. Like that's why they always want to pray and bless the meal. And that's a whole nother conversation. But it means you pray over it. And by praying, anything that you eat now is okay. Well, you can pray, but if eating something bad, your prayer is not going to help that bad food in your body. Like if we've been taught to just keep eating it, pray about it, and take a pill. And that's okay. But it's like the reason you need insulin, is because your body is not processing the sugar correctly. Praying over that,
don't change it.
It's not going to change it. You can pray about it. You can mentally feel good, but your body is not going to process that sugar. It's going to either shoot up in most cases or shoot down. That's why you got to take that insulin. So praying about it not going to change it. Taking the pill treats the symptom. Like what my brother was saying, if you put the right food in your body, it will heal it. Like Renew says to put a fresh supply in. Most of us don't eat enough fresh fruits and vegetables. It should be a staple part of your diet. But we've been taught culturally, like what we just had Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. If you look at most people's table, the biggest thing lacking from that, fresh vegetables and fresh fruits. There was a whole lot of sweet and a whole lot of meat. And to your point, the other ones, like you talking about at the paralegals, and a whole lot of liquor and a whole lot of alcohol.
There you go. But and oftentimes you like I say I had some conversations. I'm pretty sure you guys had some conversations with people about eating vegetables. And they'll say, I eat vegetables. And you go to the house, the vegetables are dead that they're eating. They got it on their plate, but everything on their plate is dead. It has no life to it. But in their mind, that's why we talk about the renewing of their mind. In their mind, I just ate something good for me. But it had no nutrients in it. So how can it be good for you? And then the other thing that my brother was that both of you are sharing, but water. So if we kill the vegetables, we ain't getting no water from it. And if we would eat some fruits, we would do that sometimes because we still like that sweet taste. But we're not eating enough, in order to sustain our body like it needs to be. When my brother's talking about the water intake. And we don't drink any water. Everything else has a color to it. And even the water, like my brother always said, it has to have some type of minerals in it. So, and even if we drink the Zephyr Hills water, what's in it for you at that time? Yes, you drunk some clear, but it's not nothing that's fulfilling the body. So, and I think like even platforms like this is a way to educate, just talking about it. That's why I want to extract more information from it, because a lot of times people say, well, I eat vegetables, but you're eating dead vegetables. If it don't have any crunch to it, if it don't have any life in it, you're not getting anything from it. So, just being able to share information like that, and help an individual understand, like, okay, well, I need to change the way I'm eating certain things, like certain things I'm putting on my plate. I need to change that or lessen some of the things that may cause, prostate cancer, colon cancer, some of the cancers that comes from, like, the parasites from red meats and things of that nature. It's just trying to lessen a lot of that stuff so that we can take in natural foods that now can rebuild, rejuvenate some of the cells that are in our bodies. Because we lose cells, every day, and many of them, but we always can rejuvenate those cells through eating right and rest. So it's very, very important that we eat right, rest, exercise. And a lot of times, just for you guys to know, when the doctor tell you to exercise, when you're eating all this bad stuff, it's for you to strengthen your heart so that that blood can pump harder, because you're putting a lot of pressure on that heart, and exercise strengthens that heart. But what you can do and help that doctor out is eat better. Because you eat better, the heart, everything loosens up in there. So the blood flows a lot better when you do that. So I think great information. That's definitely one of the cycles that we want to take into 2026 and want to leave behind us in 2025. What time? What we at on time? 48 minutes. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to transition. We're going to go to a commercial break at this time. We're going to come back and we're going to see what's on our brother Yike Ezekiel's mind. All right. So we'll be right back.
At NOY Store, we bring culture, style, and wellness all in one place. Explore our collection of cultural apparel designed to inspire and connect. From t-shirts to polos, boldly tell your story. Need guidance on your journey? Check out our books written to inspire and support your spiritual, personal, and community growth. And give your body the care it deserves with our health and wellness products like natural toothpaste, soothing body butters, and more. We're always adding new products to empower your life so you can live with purpose and style. Visit NOYstore.com today, where culture, wellness, and inspiration come together. Shop at NOYstore.com.
Hey, shalom and blessings, everyone. Author Jeremiah here. I am the author of The Spiritual Significance of a Name, Define Your Purpose. And I want to share something with you today. It's very important. As we go throughout life, we understand certain things to be challenging for us, right? But life can be a beautiful experience when we discover our purpose. Because then, and only then, do we discover that we have a true reason to live. Won't you go to the NOYstore.com and pick up a copy of my book today, The Spiritual Significance of a Name. That's the NOYstore.com. You'll thank me later. Until next time, peace and prosperity. All right, here we transition a little bit into our next episode, and we have our brother Yike Ezekiel going to share with us what's on your mind, sir.
Well, we also know with this new year and our new goals also come some goals that are set by the local landlords. At this time of the year, they always raise the rent. So we know that rent is finna go up. Now, how does that affect the community? Because when you're raising the rent, if there's an inequality between my wages and the new rent prices, now I may have to move. Moving affects mental health because the children may have to relocate to new schools. They may move further away from their circle. Now they may have anxiety going to a new neighborhood and trying to make new friends all over again. So we have to be aware that that has a negative impact on individuals as well as the community. So we need to come up with a way to either balance out the new rent with more money. So I think jobs, need to take into account that inflation affects their employees and see if they can come up with a way to compensate that right there, because it has a negative impact all the way around. Because if the rent go up, that means something must be sacrificed in the house, whether it means buying less food, less drinks. And how does that affect now? Because as we said before, if that child is going to school hungry, then his or her mind is not focused on the lesson that's being taught. So therefore, the education is not getting them where they need to be mentally. They're being stagnated because they can't focus on what's going on. So we have to come up with a way as a community to combat this right here, because these rents are being raised yearly. So there's nothing you can do about that. That's, the laws of the land. So how do we come up with ways to balance that out so that it doesn't have a detrimental effect on individual homes as well as the community at large?
And that's real. I think inflation has a lot to do with that. Like here in Florida, they passed a law that every year, like your employer has to give you $1. If you started off with minimum wage 2 or 3 years ago, I believe every year you had to get $1 until you get up to $15. I'm pretty sure that's probably going to change next year, because next year is supposed to be at $15 at minimum wage. Right now it's at $14. It just changed September the 30th. But we do a lot of payroll for clients, and we get a lot of that information. But next year is supposed to be up to 15. However, to your point, those rents do go up, and it's all based off of inflation. And I think the bad thing about us in our community, and this is what I have seen, from year to year, I would see, people, clients or people that come in, that's behind on rent because they took their rent money and they got, holiday gifts and things of that nature. So they was not being responsible. And that's what that's called, not being responsible. To make sure that your child had somewhere to come lay their head and sleep and eat, opposed to having going out and buying a tour or a game. We have to make wiser decisions than that, not to, have the old landlord, 3 months of rent and expect for the landlord to, understand when he got a mortgage, she got a mortgage that she has to pay. And I think a lot of that plays a role when we are making decisions in our community to make better decisions, when it comes to that. Understanding that next year, to your point, like rent may go up. So what am I going to do right now to accommodate that? Do I now look for another place? Do I talk to my landlord and say, hey, listen, I really love the place. Can you keep me at this rate for another year? I'm looking at getting a promotion. I'm looking at XYZ. In most cases, if you got a good landlord, they'll work with you. But, inflation causes things to go up. In my opinion, well, I ain't no just in my opinion, inflation causes things to go up. I mean, that's the part of being here. And I say being here in America, because a lot of places I have went to, they don't have a lot of, that going on. Like when I was in Europe, the dollar was like monopoly money over there. Like they didn't take the dollar over there because they say it's inflated. Like we want an inflated dollar, money. Right? So because they say Americans in America, all they do is print money. All they do is just reprint money. So it's like, no, we don't want that, that over here circulating in our system because it has no value to it. So, we just have to be mindful that we're in a society where inflation does, play a huge role. And just building better relationships, like we talked about earlier. Just building better relationships and seeing how we can, minimize some of the things that we will, put us behind, in our finances. Minister, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's real, especially here in Florida, because cost, like say inflation, the cost is going up, and the cost of goods and services wages keeping up with it. And with housing, especially here in Florida, like from a landlord's perspective, insurance goes up. Therefore, if taxes and insurance go up, they're going to pass that on to the renter. And it's like, that's when you really have to make wise decisions. Like, and everybody want to have a nice and a clean and a safe place to stay. But then here's where we start talking about finances. You have to look at your finances and your budget and say, well, can I live in place A, B, or C based on the finances? Because if you get into the highest one and it goes up, now you're going to be stretching your budget. Or if you want to be in the higher one, like here's where you may need to make a sacrifice. You might have had a 1-bedroom, but you may have to make a decision that I may need to get a roommate and we may need to get a 2-bedroom so we can share the rent and lower those costs. Because the costs are not going to come down. They're only going to continue to go up. And if your income hasn't went up to meet it, it's like, okay, what can I do to make that go up? That's why some people might they might travel a little farther, get the rent a little lower. Like, for example, if you live downtown Orlando, you're not going to get a break.
Right.
You can be downtown, but pay for that. So you might need to get a little farther away from downtown in order to lower those rates. Because, like you say, at the beginning of the year, you don't have that. A conversation is great. You want to talk to a landlord about, hey, can we lock this in for a certain amount of time and build that relationship? Otherwise, it is stressful now to have to uproot the kids and have to move to find a place. And then now you might find something that you didn't want to get at a better price. When if that's definitely a planning situation, because that should be like long-term ownership is better. Short-term, if you rent, you have to rent with a plan because it's going to continue to go up. Nothing we go do in a capitalist society, especially here. Like, and you mentioned Florida. Florida is a little bit ahead of the curve. Nationally, I think the minimum wage is only like, I'm guesstimating, it's still only, is it $8?
It may be.
Nationally, I know Florida has exceeded it, but nationally, the federal minimum wage, I think it's still $7 or $8. Which goes into that conversation of education, hidden jobs, trades, because inflation is going up.
You're right. About that $8.
Latency and Florida is heading toward 15.
Yeah, because they say like 7.
It is. I don't think it's even 8 yet nationally.
7.
That's the national level.
Wow.
Oh, that's the federal.
Yeah, federal. Isn't that some?
It's 725 to be exact.
Yeah, 725. Yeah, it's federal.
So it's humorous, but if you only making $7.25, you cannot survive here in Florida. Central Florida. One person, or if you were 2 people, even a young couple, if that's all you making and y'all had a baby, you're gonna be staying with your parents. That means, guess what? You need to get some education. You need to get your skill. You need to get a trade. So you can try to double that to get your job to make more. And that means my mom, and they used to call it eating some humble pie. You got to go home. You need to eat some humble pie and stay at home so you can save some money before you get out there. Because if that's not an option, it's like A single guy can stay in a room. And I want to, but now if you're a single mother with kids, it's a little challenging. I've seen them do it, but it's more difficult for you, especially if you got daughters, to be staying with strangers and their men. That's just a reality.
No, that's true. That's true. That is so true. And Ezekiel, I know you brought this forth. Was there anything else on your mind pertaining to that?
I mean, when you look at the overall net effect of it, like he said, when you have the low income coming in compared to the higher raise, you look at now gentrification is kicking in, you're getting moved out of your communities, you're losing historical ties to the communities. The displacement of the children bounce around from school to school, that has a long-term effect on them educationally because the quality of schools are different. So, as you said, and a lot of landlords may not be generous and give you the same rate. That's why most long-term rentals in apartments or homes, they getting displaced by the new rentals because now they're giving out different fees. You may have been in this apartment for years and you paying $20, but now they're offering the new tenants $15 with a month free rent. So it's causing the old tenants to have to leave because they went from $20 to $21 or $22. When they said, well, why would I pay that when I can move to another apartment complex and pay the $15 with the first month rent free? So a lot of these apartment complexes or landlords are losing older tenants in exchange for trying to gain the new tenants. So that's why they're coming up with the gimmicks of a certain amount of rent free if you move in now, trying to refill those apartments that been vacated by the older tenants that had to move out because they could no longer afford it. Even though they liked it living in that neighborhood, that's why they've been there for years. So you notice it's coming, and most black people, that's what they have to end up doing. They have to begin to find somewhere else to live because the raises didn't increase their income. And it's just a sad cycle that's going on.
Yeah, we just have to get our head out of especially these hollow days and just kind of focus on, and I think that's very important. That's something that we need to leave behind us in 2025 and it's coming to this new year thinking more positively that way. All right, so we have the music coming on. Here we're gonna get ready to close out. So anything, we'll start with you, Ezekiel. You want to leave anything?
Yes. This is a new year, so stay focused and have a plan to be able to get your health in every aspect on point, mentally, financially, educationally, physically. Let that be your goal and stick to it.
All right. Minister?
Hey, I said it's a new year. Make sure you approach it with a holistic approach. Financially, mentally, spiritually, economically. Take care of your diet. Take care of the whole person, not just a part of the person.
Yes, sir, indeed. Absolutely. Now they say breaking cycles isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. You don't have to break everything at once. Progress beats perfection. So start somewhere. So this week, identify one thing, one cycle you've been, that has been plaguing you, and take one step towards change. All right. So I say from the host, peace and prosperity, and from Live Talk, we are out.
Thank you for watching Live Talk. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Live Talk Orlando. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel hit on the notification button so that you can see more videos like this. You want to join the show? Email us at livetalkorl@gmail.com. You can also follow the host on Facebook and Instagram at Arthur Jeremiah. And visit the website, thenoystore.com, to pick up your copy of The Spiritual Significance of a Name.